I've just completed phase one of the inspection process. It's one of many, but what I just finished doing was I took the exterior photos with an emphasis on any cosmetic blemishes that I was able to pick up on and on the panel gaps, which I'll need to analyze later when I'm back at the office. So I'm standing about a good 6 to 7 feet away. This is the way the vehicle presents itself. So I'm going to start walking towards the vehicle, and I'll be doing some paint meter measurements using this electromagnetic tool. This meter reads in the thousandths of an inch, and what it's good for is it tells me about the thickness of the paint. If it's too thin, you need to be made aware of that, because if you ever have the car detailed, you don't want that person or company or whatever spending too much time there, because they can burn the paint. Secondly, and most important, is it'll tell me if there's any signs of respray. If we see any respray, then there's a chance of there's some possible damage that was repaired. But let's go ahead and just dial in. I always like to start off with the front bumper cover. Bumper cover, I kind of give it some leniency, because this is what typically gets hit at the parking lots, and they usually can be easily repaired. That's polyurethane material, so it's not as bad as when you damage the metal. But moving in, so looking at the front here, I always like to look at the lenses first. I don't see any cloudiness. I just see micros, like maybe stress cracks. So maybe that was bumped at some time, and I don't know if it's gonna come out on the camera, but I can just see the micro cracks there. But I don't think it affects the visibility during nighttime driving. All right. Here you can see where it's been scraped, and then touch-up paint has been applied here and there. I always like to just kind of bump the cover a little bit, see if anything rattles loose. You got a nice little catch right here. Kidney grill's all intact. Sometimes I see impact mark right in between. Looks pretty good so far. Badge in good shape. Lenses look decent. Again, everything intact, and then some more touch-up paintwork. So just so long as you're aware of that, so that way you know what you're getting. Okay, good. All right, so we'll just dial in and start doing some paint meter measurements. Gotta get this thing warmed up. Okay, here we go. So first reading is 4.5, 4.5. So typically we'll see thousandths of an inch, give or take, in some cases. I say that's okay. Still an indication of factory paintwork. So that looks pretty good. When I run my hands across the paint, it's not smooth to the touch, or as far as like when I go across. That can be corrected, and then you can see there's this dust. So I won't do that too much. You can see how dirty my glove is. You definitely wanted to have like a professional grade detail done to it, where wax is applied, maybe a light buff, and it really improves the appearance of the car. Looking at the left front fender, 5, 4. Let's see if I get that 5 reading again. 4.5. Okay, that's better. All right, and I checked out okay. Looking at the left front wheel, it's got the Continental Conti Pro contacts. I like it when I see the star marking here. That is an indication that these tires were purchased through the BMW program. Those are only available through BMW, and these tires are specifically designed for these vehicles. So that's kind of nice. It kind of just shows that the car was cared for, and the best replacement parts were used. Okay, the rim has this some curb rash. If that bothers you, there's companies out there that can repair that. I don't know what the rate is nowadays. It can be anywhere from $70 to $150. If you have multiple rims, sometimes they'll cut you a deal. Here's a shot of the brake pad. When I looked at the vehicle history, I don't think I saw anything on the front brake pad replacement. So I'll double check that just to make sure I'm not confusing this with another car. While I'm down here, I always like to get a side panel view. I'm checking for dings, dents, and waviness. This is the best way to view a car when you're inspecting one, is by the side panels, not only just directly. I take advantage and take a shot of the outside mirror. Sometimes these get scraped up, bumped. Looks pretty good, nice and secure. So far, so good. Looking at the windshield, don't see any obvious signs of cracks, chips. Car's too new to see delamination, but I check anyway still, just out of habit. view of the dash. Just looking for any kind of imperfections or cosmetic blemishes. I've already got the still photo of the public VIN tag, so I'll be cross-referencing that number with the one on the door jamb, make sure everything jives. Looking at the roof, take advantage while I'm here. Let's get some paint meter measurements. 4. Great reading so far. I always like to see how the glass panel is flush with the roof, so I don't see any misalignment issues there. If I did, that'd be of concern. I still have to check the operation, of course, but so far no red flags. Looking at the glass, again, no blemishes. Let's get these door readings. 4.5 and 4. Left rear door, 4 and 4. Quarter panel, 4, 4.5, 4. Good. Looking at the left rear wheel well area, the reason I get a shot of the wheel well like this is because sometimes the tires will kick up debris and it can damage the underside, but nobody ever looks. So we do though, so that's good. Right. Because even if, so if we don't see anything, that's great. But if I start seeing signs of impact damage, I know I've got to dig in even deeper. Again, star marked Connie's. The manufacture date on this is 2014, and I got still photos of that too. So, and then a shot of the brake pad. Hopefully that came out. And the rims look decent on this side here. We're going to do a side panel view from the rear of the vehicle, starting from the top. Let's do with the roof. Top, side glass. And I still have to review this as well. While I'm looking at this, it's just a glare and dim. So I use this when I put the report together. Right. Looking at the back side of the window, again, no chips or scratches or anything that's obvious. There is a light coating of dust, believe it or not. That does affect the way I can assess everything. So those like really minor blemishes I may not be able to pick up. So, but so far I'm not seeing any issues. I always look at these defroster lines, make sure there's no breaks in the lines, because if there isn't, then the system will not work. So it looks pretty good. Give it a little tap here. Good. Let's get some readings back here. 4.5, 4, and 3.5. Good. So nice readings. Bumper had some blemishes as well. Just a couple little nicks here with some touch-up paint work. Okay. Looking at the right side of the vehicle, let's go ahead and do the side panel view. Same as the left. Okay, again, we're just checking for any dings, dents, or waviness. All right, little readings while we're back here. 4, 3. Always pay attention here. It looks clean. Little pigtails still intact. That's great. So the purpose of this report too is just to minimize any chances of any surprises later on. So I try to touch on everything as possible, or as much as possible. A little bit of not curb rash. I think is just from them installing the tire. All right, let's see. I thought I saw the star on this one as well. Okay, it's 94. Some here somewhere. Yep, good. All right. So wheel well area. This is on the right side. Right, and then shot of the brake pad. And let's get some door readings. This is the right rear door, 3.5, 4, and 4, and one more, 4. When you hear me put the meter against the panels, it probably sounds terrible, but it's actually just being lightly placed. It's just the microphone amplifies everything. 3.5, 4.5, 4, 4, 4. Oh, let's try that again. 5, 5, 4.5. Okay, first time we got like that 5 reading. All right, but for the most part, it looks like the panels are pretty straight. Factory paintwork is the way it's looking. Again, the view of the glass from this side, and then the roof line. Oh, and then one final just jab at the outside mirror. And one more exterior look before I move on. On this portion of the clip, what I do, this is the startup process. So what I do is I start it up while the video is running, so that way we know what the expectations are and what you should expect, or what you should expect when you start it up. Shouldn't be a long crank. It should be fairly quick. Also, I'll pay attention to see how it starts, see if the battery seems sluggish at all when I'm cranking it over. And then the lights should all illuminate, indicating that all the fault lights are working and none have been tampered with. And then if all systems check out during the self-diagnostic process, those lights should clear up. So here we go. Good. So that was a nice, healthy start. Sounded pretty normal to me. All the lights, I still have to review everything, but it looks like they all illuminated. RPM's just over 1,000. The engine is still cold, so we'll come back and we'll check it again, but it should drop below that once it's warmed up or past up the warm-up phase. All right, and then we got the warning light for the hood being open. Out mileage is 43,577 as of right now, and then we're going to walk towards the back of the vehicle. Okay. The reason I'm walking towards the back of the vehicle is I want to take a look at the exhaust to see how the exhaust is burning. So if, as of right now, it looks like it's clear, but had it been blowing black, gray, blue, or white, that all means something. But it looks like that's not going to be an issue here today. All right, so it looks pretty good. Also, like to listen for any misfires, and I'm not picking up on any right now. All right, so let's start making our way here, and I can hear the idle drop somewhat. It's floating around, I think, 850 right now. Okay, going here towards the engine bay. There's a lot that I look at when I do the engine bay inspection. I look at the underside of the hood, insulation, make sure that's okay. In some cases, I see where it's chewed up because rodents like to hide out in these engine bays, right? So I check for that, and then at that same time, I also look around to make sure there's no wires that are chewed up or hoses. They all like that stuff. And sadly, none of that stuff's under warranty, and it's also very expensive to repair. I also look at the hinge bolts or supports, make sure they're not chipped, because if they are, that'd be an indication that the hood has been tampered with, adjusted, removed, or anything, right? I also get the chassis stamp there, cross-reference that with this, with the dash, and then the sticker on the door jamb. I also take a look inside of the wheel well area, not the wheel well, but the inner fender area. So what I'm looking for is frontal impact damage, and I'm not seeing any traces of it. I don't see any tampering here with any of the bolts or shifting. Oil, a little dark, but still maybe normal, because I think the oil surface is like between 10 and 12 to sometimes 14, 15,000 miles an hour, or miles before that gets done, or minimum at least once a year. So just keep that in mind. So if you're not doing that many miles, you should at least always change the oil at least once a year. I've already looked at the coolant. What I do here is I check for any signs of cross-contamination or bubbling. And it's got the BMW factory blue color. It's circulating nicely, and I don't see the bubbling, which is, that's not the kind of bubbling I'm talking about. You'd see it throughout the whole surface. I've been driving for a couple of miles already, and what I do is I just do like a series of system checks. So like right now, I have my hands off the steering wheel, it's driving straight, and then when I step on the brakes, I check to make sure it doesn't pull to the left or to the right. Okay, stop straight. Acceleration is good. Got up to about 60 miles an hour. Didn't feel a shimmy from the steering wheel. Looked pretty solid, good acceleration. Shifting was seamless. I've checked the operation of the cruise control. That engages as well. Horn blows, windshield wipers checked out. Didn't leave any streaks. I looked through the iDrive system. I went through everything. Let me do this manual now. Where was I? Oh, with the services. So everything checked out. Looks like it's just due for the brake fluid exchange, which BMW recommends every 2 years. So depending on, I think you're here in the LA area, you just go to a dealership and you can see what they charge for brake fluid exchange, or even an independent shop, a good one, reputable one, I should say, can do that service as well. Typically under 200, but I don't know. It's been a while since I've been at the dealership. It was typically about 150. Some places you can find them on sale. Out mileage is 43,578 right now. The start and stop function is disabled right now. It's back on again. Radio worked, AC, heater blows cold. There is no backup camera or navigation on this, just to make sure that you are aware of that. That's good. Seats worked, windows all work without any issues. What I do there is I listen for any abnormal noises, like a failure somewhere, and check the sun visors and the sunroof operation. So everything seems to be pretty sorted out. The only thing is, I got to check those faults that I saw when I ran the fault memory, and I checked the headlights, turn signals. I just have to have these guys help me out, verify the rear lights to make sure everything's working, especially because I saw a fault in the system for something about the rear light. So I want to verify if in fact it is or it isn't working. All right, so that pretty much will conclude the video portion of the inspection. If anything changes, obviously I'll add more onto it, but I'm gonna go ahead and just shut down and head back to the dealership.